What's up, Bills Mafia? Ryan Thomas here. Better late than never as I hop on for my thoughts on the Buffalo Bills' 28-25 victory over the Detroit Lions on Thanksgiving, Turkey Day, of course. I wanted to be on the show a little bit sooner than what I was, but unfortunately, the Bills played on Thanksgiving. And when that happens, I want to celebrate the holiday with the family. I want to tune into the game in peace with the fam and just kick back and enjoy the holiday. Yes, I took the day off from the Thomas Take Sports podcast on Thanksgiving. You know, it was what it was. I wanted to tune into the game, watch the game, enjoy the game, and then give my thoughts on the game, a few days after. And it's better late than never because this show will be like a 2-for-1. You're going to get my thoughts on the Buffalo Bills' victory over the Detroit Lions. You're going to get my thoughts on the Buffalo Bills' next test against the New England Patriots, which is a test, to say the least. The Patriots are always a test as long as they got the evil genius Bill Belichick on the sideline, I should say. So here we go. Let's get to it. I have a lot of thoughts on this game, and I have a lot of thoughts on what has taken place since this game. So I almost feel like I was benefited from I almost feel like the show will benefit, and I almost feel like I benefited from what took place after the game in terms of the Von Miller injury. That's a big part of today's show. So just to give you guys a little bit of a heads up, you guys are tuning in on Facebook, YouTube, and you're listening to this podcast on Apple Podcasts as well as Spotify. If you want to check it out live, the show is streamed live on Facebook and YouTube. If you want to listen to it, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and any other place that you can listen to a podcast, you can hear the Thomas Take Sports podcast. I really appreciate the support. So, the Bills made me happy on Turkey Day. Did they stress me out on Turkey Day? Were my emotions going up and down like a seesaw? Yes, they were. And I was teetering on the brink of insanity during this game because I feared that the Detroit Lions were going to be a test. The Detroit Lions were going to be a tough test against our Buffalo Bills. And I feared that because of the fact that I know that Dan Campbell is making these Lions better. The Lions are far better than their record. They've been able to find a little bit of an identity as far as being a gritty team that runs the football real well with Jamal Williams, DeAndre Swift, who's been banged up throughout the majority of the season. But when he's out there, DeAndre Swift, I should say, is doing really big things for Detroit when he's healthy. Jamal Williams has had a really great year for them, a breakout season, 12 rushing touchdowns. Jared Goff getting better each and every week with that supporting cast around him. And I like some of the guys that they have. Amon-Ra St. Brown, he's a pretty solid receiver. Jamison Williams hasn't played yet for the Detroit Lions, but I think he's going to be really, really good in this league. So Detroit slowly building their way up into being a respectable team. They've played close with pretty much everybody, including the Philadelphia Eagles in Week 1. So I knew that this would be a much bigger test because I think we're seeing a theme to this season. The Bills moving to 8-3 with this 28-25 win, and they're moving to 8-3 going up against a team that wanted to go tit for tat, toe to toe with the Buffalo Bills. And I think that's a theme this season that we are going to continue to see, is that when the Buffalo Bills are playing a quote-unquote easy opponent, that easy opponent is going to play as good as they could possibly play or as great as they could possibly play due to the fact that they're trying to make their mark against a really good team. And the Buffalo Bills are a really good team. So any team that plays against them that is less than stellar going into the season, whether it's the Cleveland Browns, whether it's the Detroit Lions, that team is going to play exceptionally well because of the fact that, they're down on their luck. They're trying to really rise to the occasion of playing the Buffalo Bills, and that's the bullseye on the back that the Buffalo Bills have had on them since the season started. With the preseason hype, not only is Josh Allen hearing that. Not only is Stephon Diggs hearing that, but the Miami Dolphins, the New York Jets, the New England Patriots, and anyone who plays the Buffalo Bills on the schedule also hears the fact that Buffalo Bills are highly rated by the majority of the football networks, national news, national TV, national sports networks out there. They're all singing the praises of Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane and what they had done for the culture of this team, to the point that the Bills have been knocking on the door the last few years as well. So these teams are like, all right, this is a team that is very, very good. We got to play up to standards. We got to play at a high level. And they play beyond, I think, their capability. They play their best football against the Buffalo Bills. So that's something that I think has been kind of a chapter in this season, that the Bills have played the New York Jets and lost. The Bills have played the Miami Dolphins and lost. The Bills have played the Cleveland Browns very close. The Bills have played the Detroit Lions very close. While you look at that as a knock on the Bills in losing efforts or ultimately winning close games against teams that they, quote-unquote, should blow out, I look at it like this. Those teams are playing up to that level because they're playing against a really good team in the Buffalo Bills. We just got to turn those L's into W's, those Jets games, Vikings games, Dolphins games. We don't want to see repeats of those games. We want to see the Bills find ways to win close games, which they have done these last 2 weeks against Cleveland as well as Detroit. But this win did not come without its fair share of adversity, whether it was competitively between us and the Detroit Lions or the elephant in the room that I will address right here, right now, and that's Von Miller's injury. Von Miller, one of the biggest fishes that Brandon Beane has ever reeled in terms of his career as a general manager, signing Von Miller this past March as a free agent, 6-year deal for the Buffalo Bills. Essentially, it's a 3-year deal. They can get out of it after year 3. You go out, you make the move to get a Von Miller to bolster your defense, to create a new weapon on the pass rush front four at the very least, with his hand in the dirt, with his hand in the grass, just telling Von Miller to go rush the passer, not on every down, but on a higher snap count than what he had been accustomed to these last few weeks, at the very least, because Gregory Rousseau has been out for the Buffalo Bills. So you got Von Miller rotating in a little bit more, and with that came a very rough injury that we don't know the exact timetable on. At this very moment, I'm live right now, November 28th, 9:16 at night, mind you. We don't have an exact timetable on Von Miller's injury, but what we do know is that he's out indefinitely, and it is a knee injury. It is more likely than not a meniscus sprain. That's how it's being labeled by insiders in the NFL. Ian Rappaport, Stefania Bell, injury expert. Good buddy of mine, Kyle Trimble of BangedUpBills.com. He wrote a comprehensive piece on the meniscus injury that Von Miller suffered. You guys can check that out at BangedUpBills.com. Plug to him. Good work, Kyle. I'm not an injury expert. What I do know is the Bills have battled the one thing that could get in their way of winning their first Super Bowl all season long, and that is injuries. Whether it's Josh Allen, whether it's Tremaine Edmonds, whether it's Jordan Poyer, Micah Hyde, Trey White. Now you add Von Miller, and I'm just including the names that are jumping off the top of my head. Christian Benford is on IR. Dawson Knox has been banged up. We've had our own fair share. Deion Dawkins has been banged up. We've had our own fair share of banged up Bills moments. And now Von Miller is a name that you add to that list. And that is very frustrating. That is very concerning for the state of this Buffalo Bills team moving forward, because Von has been that impact player that Brandon Beane hoped he would be. The Von Miller acquisition has worked fabulously for the Buffalo Bills. He's making plays every single week. There's been multiple times throughout this season, I can count maybe on both fingers, both hands, 10 fingers on both hands, 5 on each hand, that Von Miller has made almost sacks, and he's got 8. So that just goes to show you, could Von Miller have 12? Could he have 13? Could he have 14? Potentially. He's got 8. And he's had a great season. So it's tough losing a guy like that for any length of time, let alone out indefinitely. Heading into a divisional matchup, you're 0-2 in the division. You lost to the Dolphins. You lost to the Jets. You need to get that win over the New England Patriots in Foxborough, mind you, to start this series between the Patriots and Bills. The Bills traveling to Foxborough to take on Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots. Von Miller's injury is going to hurt this defense. But I say this all the time. Injury equals opportunity. Well, one guy is out. Another guy's got to step up. It's not only next man up. It's not only man up or step aside. It's injury equals opportunity. I'm looking at Boogie Basham. I'm looking at whether Gregory Rousseau does come back into the lineup. We know Tremaine Edmonds practiced today. We know Mitch Morse practiced today as well. Those guys were both out against the Detroit Lions, and I think that had a lot to do with the over-the-middle stuff that the Lions were able to get away with in this game, especially without Tremaine Edmonds out, and Mitch Morse being out dramatically hurt the offensive line. I thought the offensive line had a very rough day against Aiden Hutchinson and company of the front four of the Detroit Lions, which is not known to be this pressure cooker of a front four, but they were bringing it. What has me concerned more, Von Miller's injury or the fact that, Josh Allen has not been his best, and Josh Allen was not at his best in this one, but when he needed to be at his best, he was at his best. When he needed to make that one throw down the middle of the field, that dart of a pass over the middle of the field to Stephon Diggs, more on him a little bit later, Josh Allen made that throw. That's a one-of-one throw in this league. Not many guys can make that throw, can fit that ball into that tight of a window, uncork it, and let it rip in a crucial moment where everyone and their grandmother on their Thanksgiving day knew that Josh Allen was going to look to Stephon Diggs in that final pass of the day. He looked his way, uncorked it, let it go. That ball flew out of his hand 54 miles an hour into the hands of Stephon Diggs. So that brings me to my next point. Is Josh Allen getting healthier? I sure hope so, because Josh Allen these last few weeks has looked like a guy that mentally, he's hurting mentally because he knows physically he's not what he normally is. With that comes the pressing. With that comes the mistakes. Felt like Allen did a much better job at not pressing, not making those same mistakes, those bad decisions with the football. The decision-making was there, I should say. And to me, I do feel like there were moments in the game where he wasn't so good, but as the game wore on, there were games where I started to see the Josh Allen that we all know and love, where he was making clutch throws, he was making great decisions, and it was great to see, to say the least. While Josh Allen might not be at his best, we do know one thing. Stephon Diggs is him. Stephon Diggs really bailed Josh Allen out in terms of the frustration that Josh Allen was having throwing the football. Stephon Diggs said, hey, 17, just throw it my way. I'll make your day better for you. And Josh Allen said, okay, Steph, I'll throw it your way. He starts peppering him with targets, and Stephon Diggs, while he had a 2-point fantasy day in the first half of the game, by the game's conclusion, he had a 21-point fantasy day, which put a smile on my face, to say the least. I often wonder, while I go to bed at night, I should say, while I try to sleep at night, would I have not lost 199 to 201 to my longtime pal Eric Ellis had Stephon Diggs gotten off to a better start in the first half rather than just putting up points in the second half? Fortunately, I'll never know. But Stephon Diggs, hell of a player. One of the best wide receivers that these eyes have ever seen. One of the best wide receivers in the National Football League. One of the best route runners. One of the best yards after catch guys. Check off any box. Refer to any box that you want, whether it's yards after catch, whether it's route running, whether it's ball security, whether it's catching in traffic. Stephon Diggs is one of the best wide receivers that I have ever seen in my time of watching football, and I'm happy as hell that he is a Buffalo Bill. So with that comes the preview portion of the show. The Buffalo Bills taking on the New England Patriots, and the Patriots had a pretty good game this past week against the Minnesota Vikings, who ultimately did beat them, but I thought the Patriots looked much better than what I thought they would in a game against Minnesota, who had been hot outside of that clunker that they played against Dallas the week prior. It was a back-and-forth affair. I felt like Mac Jones was starting to look like the Mac Jones that Bill Belichick actually liked to see, rather than the Mac Jones that was benched for Bailey Zappi during a game. Not before a game, but during a game. They benched Mac Jones, for Bailey Zappi. So, you never know what you're going to get with the Buffalo Bills. As great a team as they are on paper, you don't know what you're going to get. One week you'll get that Bills team that'll just throw it all over the yard, do whatever they want to do. And then other weeks, you're going to see a little bit of a team that allows too many of this or too many of that. The New England Patriots are the exact same way. The New England Patriots, I can't put a finger on who the Patriots are at this point in the season, and we're cutting it close to the late stage of the season where we need to know who we are, and the Patriots certainly need to know who they are. We don't really know who the Patriots are. Some weeks they can run the football real well with Ramondre Stevenson. Other weeks they play sound defense. They won a game 10-3 against the New York Jets off of a punt return touchdown. Their offense wasn't doing anything. Defense was shutting it down. Bill Belichick, that's all you got to say. Bill Belichick, you know that this team is going to be disciplined. You know this team is going to be on their P's and Q's. But does this team have the athletic ability? Do they have the talent that they had in years past with Brady, Gronkowski? My boy Wes Welker won me a lot of fantasy football championships. Wes Welker, Julian Edelman, another one of those guys. Do they have Danny Amendola? Do they have those guys out there? They don't. I couldn't name you a wide receiver on that team outside of Devontae Parker. Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry were two tight ends that they signed to big deals, trying to get that Gronk, Aaron Hernandez duo. We'll throw it out there. Aaron Hernandez duo, Gronk and Hernandez and Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry. They haven't found it. It hasn't happened. It just hasn't existed. So I don't really know what their identity is offensively. Is it Mac Jones throwing 40, 50 times a game? I don't think so. If you're trying to win, play sound football, if you're the New England Patriots, you're trying to run the football with a very good running game and Ramondre Stevenson, a very good running back, I should say. I like how they mix him into the offense. When they mix him in well with Damian Harris, they can do some pretty good things. And we know one thing is for sure. The Buffalo Bills' run defense has been very inconsistent this year. Some weeks they look great. You look at how they played against the Cleveland Browns, how they shut down Nick Chubb. But then Kareem Hunt, he had moments where he got the ball and he did really well. They have a hard time covering running backs that can catch. They have a good, easy, fair time at shutting down the middle of the field. And I will say, a guy that deserves a ton of credit on this Buffalo Bills team this year and is finally getting his due is none other than former first-round draft choice of the Buffalo Bills, Ed Oliver. Another former first-round draft choice of the Buffalo Bills that's going to have to make a big step up in terms of his snap count in this defense is Shaq Lawson. We never thought that we'd have to rely on Shaq Lawson, but hey, with Von Miller out, Shaq Lawson's going to be needed. And it's good you have the depth that you do on the defensive line. Let's get to some comments. We got some comments here. I got one. Give me a score prediction for the Bills and Patriots. That was the next portion of the show. You took the words right out of my mouth. The score prediction for the Bills and Patriots, I think this is going to be a close game. I can't believe I'm saying it, but I got the Bills winning it 28-24. I think this will be a X's and O's game. Bill Belichick is going to neutralize some things on this Bills offense. Quite possibly the Bills got to do their own Patriots offense where they run the football effectively. We saw that against Cleveland, but Cleveland's run defense is not one of the best in the league. I'd love to see those plays, though, incorporated into this offensive game plan. The running plays, the misdirections, the delays, the tosses, the dives of Ken Dorsey's offense factored in to this game. So there you have it. That's my take on the Buffalo Bills 28-25 victory against the Detroit Lions. It was a great effort by the Lions too. You know, I give them a lot of credit. I really feel like they're building something special there. There's actually something taking place there where for a long time it seemed like the organization didn't have any idea which way they were going, and now they have an idea of who they want to be and why they want to be who they want to be. Sounds weird. Why they want to be who they want to be, but when you have a coach in Matt Patricia, you fired Jim Caldwell, which I thought was ridiculous. You bring in Dan Campbell, you get a sense of urgency, you get a sense of respect and grit that's been missing on that Detroit Lions team for a very long time. So the Buffalo Bills got a test. You got the Patriots coming. We're going actually to Foxborough. We're heading to Foxborough. Foxborough is always a tough place to play. Take my Red Sox fandom out of it. Massachusetts is a great sports state, great Boston, New England area, great sports town. But I know that the Bills Mafia will be well-traveled again. I know a lot of people that are going to this game, and unfortunately I'm not one of them, but I do anticipate a lot of Bills Mafia, a lot of Bills jerseys in the crowd. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. I will be back with my post-game reaction on Thursday night. This Thursday night, the Bills taking on the New England Patriots. Thank you so much for tuning in, Bills Mafia. Take care and